So hey everybody, this is Kai from the Techno Funk Boy. I actually ran across a photo in on the Facebook page. Somebody had posted it and of a complete Final Fantasy two set. I mean, I'm talking about the Super Nintendo Final Fantasy two. We don't need to go into the whole Final Fantasy 4 versus Final Fantasy 2 thing. Y'all know what I'm talking about, hopefully. Um, and I remember getting this game, and I got it new, and it wasn't like when it first came out. I remember I actually had a friend who had played it, and I I was looking for it. I was looking for a copy to rent because I was part of the school newspaper, and this was I think ended up being like a two-issue newspaper. This is like in eighth grade, okay? So it was not, it was not very big, and it didn't have a lot of news in it. And we just each person just kind of basically wrote what they wanted, and it was just it was I mean it was more of an excuse for to learn a little bit about like page design, formatting, publishing, specifically desktop publishing. A lot of good that did me, because we're using stuff from the 90s at this point, which are all gone and completely replaced, but and also creative writing and that sort of thing. And I wanted to, and my column that appeared twice was of reviewing video games, and I would review two video games per column, so a total of four. The only two I remember reviewing was F Zero and Draken, and I got Draken because I couldn't find Final Fantasy two, and I had been to several places to rent video games by this point, and so I think my dad was tired of driving me around, and so he's just like, "Well, let's just get one." And Draken looked interesting. That game, I never figured out what that game was about. Um, but I got Final Fantasy two a couple months later, and I had been saving up for it, and my grandmother helped me get it, and the price had not gone down at all. Um, and so I thought when we got to the store, because I I hadn't looked for it in a couple of months, and so I was hoping that the price would be significantly lower, um, and it wasn't. And I thought she was going to balk at that, and she didn't. And so it was at that point that I got these things, and I don't have the box. I have the stuff that was in the box, including the cart. But I have the instruction booklet here in my hand, and I also have the little fold out insert. Now I didn't remember what was on this, and so I kind of assumed, because you see on the outside, there's some dungeon maps, and so I was like, okay, well, the other side's going to be the world map, and it's not. I was honestly expecting kind of a Final Fantasy three thing with the dual sided maps, but this this tiny little thing in the corner here is the closest thing we get to a world map in this. But this is actually really cool. It has on one side maps of all the towns, and it has little icons for what these towns offer. On the other side, you have maps of the first several dungeons. Now, this is let me think here, because this is getting you through the Cave of Mist, the Antlion's Nest, the Underground Waterway, Mount Hobbs, Mount Ordeals, and the Old Waterway. And so this is actually going to get you from Baron, becoming a paladin, and back again. And so that's a lot of maps. I was actually surprised in the instruction booklet, because especially in these RPGs, all these instruction booklets, besides being very long, and this one is 74 pages long, so that's good size, and it has some fantastic charts in the back that has the stats of the items. It looks like the armor, the weapons, Let me see if they have magic. They do have magic. They have magic, and so it can be cast by who on what. This is great stuff. I love these kind of charge things, but in all these old JRPGs, they have like a little mini walkthrough to get you started on the game. You know, this was still a genre that was not very big in the United States, and they really were trying to make the barriers to entry as low as possible. And that's why you get like the Nintendo Power release of Dragon Warrior, which was, I mean, you had all of the maps and all of the strategies inside, and it got you right up to the Dragon Lord. And this is why you have games like Final Fantasy Adventure, which is designed for, as an entry point for Americans. But this one is no different. This gets this has a great, a really good, full color with a lot of pictures walkthrough of the first. I mean, it actually gets you into the underground. It gets you. Essentially, the last picture in there is you standing outside of the dwarven castle. And I often, and I was like, and when I was replaying this game not long ago, I was actually just like, why do I know this particular thing at the beginning of the game? And I knew it must have been Nintendo Power or something, but we didn't have the internet then. I wasn't getting tips from online, and so how do I know this thing? And I'm starting to realize it's probably from this or Nintendo Power. I can't remember how extensive the coverage was in Nintendo Power for this, but this gets you quite a ways through the game, and it has a lot of really cool information and very easily read and formatted. It's very good. I mean, it's very good coverage. I love these old. I love these instruction manuals and stuff. I would read these cover to cover, a lot of times, several times. I was just it in a lot of ways, especially in the very early games, that's the only way you actually got story, because they didn't really deal with it on in the game itself. But obviously, by the time we get to like a Final Fantasy 2, which is just a huge leap forward in JRPGs, by the time we get to that, the story is contained in game. But these by that time, the habit was already ingrained, and the instruction manuals have a lot of just really really great information that, and the putting together of these things was taken very very seriously in those days. And so I wanted to kind of show y'all that, and I do of course wish I had all of the boxes. I kept the boxes for a very long time, and I don't. I mean, I know I needed to make room, but I don't know why I finally did away with them. And I kept them for years, and so it was really, really, it was a bonehead move to get rid of them, but I did. But I still do have a lot of these instruction manuals, and so hopefully as time goes on, I'll be able to show you some more on the video here. Please do check out the Retro Zoo Super Show. That is the podcast version where we do more audio friendly topics than showing you instruction manuals. But you can also find these videos on our Facebook page and also on YouTube. And so please subscribe to us in both places. In that way, you get these updates as we go. I really do appreciate y'all watching and hanging out with me, reminiscing on some Final Fantasy II. Easily one of my favorite games of all time, probably top 5 games of all time for me. It is the game. I sunk a ton of time to this game, but we'll talk more about that at another time. Talk to y'all later.